It's the night before my surgery and I'm sitting in my apartment alone, staring at the pre-op instructions. My hands are shaking. I'm terrified. This isn't some small procedure, we're talking major abdominal surgery. The kind where they tell you that you'll need someone with you for at least 2 weeks after. The kind where you can't lift anything, can't drive, can't even shower alone at first. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, mom and dad will be here. They have to be here. I called them 3 weeks earlier. I told them the date. I told them how serious it was. My mom said, of course, sweetie, we'll be there. My dad even joked about being my personal nurse. I actually laughed. I believed them. But here's what I didn't know yet. They were already making other plans. Plans that apparently mattered way more than their own daughter going under the knife. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you what happened next. What were those other plans? 2 days before my surgery, my phone rings. It's Mom. And I can already hear it in her voice, that weird, guilty tone she gets when she's about to disappoint me. Honey, she starts, we need to talk about next week. My stomach drops. I know what's coming, but I don't want to believe it. She tells me that they can't make it. They can't come help me. And the reason? My brother's girlfriend is having a birthday party. Not a wedding, not a funeral. A birthday party. For a woman I've met exactly twice. I actually laughed at first because I thought she was joking. Mom, I'm having surgery. Like actual surgery. Mom, I'm having surgery. Like actual surgery. I told you weeks ago. And you know what she said? Well, your brother really wants us there, and we already told them we'd come. Can't you just reschedule? Reschedule. My surgery. I sat there in silence, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process what I just heard. That's when I realized something important. I wasn't their priority. Maybe I never was. How did I respond to that? After I hung up, I just stared at the wall for like 20 minutes. Then panic set in. Real, full-body panic. Because now I had less than 48 hours to figure out how I was going to survive this alone. I started calling friends. Most of them work full-time and have kids. I wasn't expecting anyone to drop everything, but I had to try. My best friend Sarah said she could come the day of surgery and stay that night, but then she had to get back to her family. Another friend offered to check on me every few days. I was grateful, truly. But it wasn't the same as having your parents there. The people who are supposed to love you most. I called my aunt, my mom's sister. She was furious when I told her what happened. Are you kidding me? They're choosing a birthday party over you? She offered to come, but she lives 8 hours away and has her own health issues. I told her I'd figure it out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling so completely alone. Did anyone else step up? The morning of surgery, I woke up at 5 a.m. My stomach was in knots, and not just from the fasting. Sarah picked me up at 6. She held my hand in the waiting room. She stayed while they prepped me. And when they wheeled me back, she was the last face I saw before the anesthesia took over. I remember thinking, this is it, I'm doing this without them. When I woke up in recovery, I was in so much pain I could barely think straight. The nurse asked if I wanted to call anyone. I said no. What was I supposed to say? Hey Mom and Dad, I survived the surgery you didn't care enough to be here for? Sarah stayed with me that first night. She helped me to the bathroom. She made sure I took my meds. She slept on my uncomfortable couch without complaining once. And I was grateful. But I was also heartbroken. Because every time I closed my eyes, I pictured my parents laughing at that stupid birthday party while I was lying in a hospital bed. Did they even call to check on me? They didn't call, not the day of surgery, not the day after. 3 days went by and nothing, not a text, not a voicemail, radio silence. Meanwhile, I'm at home, barely able to walk to the kitchen without feeling like my insides are ripping apart. I couldn't shower alone. I couldn't cook. I couldn't shower alone. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do anything. Friends rotated checking on me, bringing me food, helping me change my bandages. These were people who didn't owe me anything. People who had their own busy lives. But they showed up. My parents? They were posting pictures on Facebook from the party. Smiling. Laughing. My mom even posted a photo with my brother's girlfriend with the caption, "Family is everything." I stared at that post for a long time. Family is everything. Except for me, apparently. That's when something inside me shifted. It wasn't just anger anymore. It was clarity. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a pattern I'd been ignoring for years, and I was done. I was done pretending it didn't hurt. Done making excuses for them. What did I do next? As I lay there recovering, my mind started replaying memories like a movie reel. And suddenly, everything made sense. This wasn't the first time they'd chosen my brother over me. It was just the first time the stakes were this high. I remembered my college graduation. They showed up 2 hours late because they stopped to watch my brother's baseball game. I remembered when I got my first real job promotion. I called to tell them, excited, and my mom cut me off mid-sentence to talk about my brother's new car. Every birthday, every milestone, every moment that should have been about me, they found a way to make it about him. Or about themselves. I always told myself I was being sensitive. That I was overreacting. That all families have a favorite kid and you just deal with it. But lying there in pain, unable to even sit up without help, I realized something. This wasn't normal. This wasn't love. And I deserved better. The people who showed up for me during my surgery, those were my real family. The family you choose. When did they finally reach out? 6 days after my surgery, my phone buzzed. It was my mom. Iune. Just checking in. How are you feeling? That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd done. Just acting like everything was normal. I stared at that text for a solid 10 minutes. Part of me wanted to call her and scream. Part of me wanted to pretend everything was fine, like I always did. But mostly, I just felt tired. Tired of being the one who always forgives. Tired of being the one who makes it easy for them. So I didn't respond. 2 hours later, another text. Did you get my message? Then my dad chimed in, your mother is worried about you. Worried. Now they were worried. Not they were worried. Not 6 days ago when I was going under anesthesia. Not when I was alone in recovery. Now. I turned my phone face down and went back to sleep. When I woke up, there were 4 more messages and 2 missed calls. They weren't worried about me. They were worried that I wasn't playing along anymore. What did I finally say to them? On day 7, I finally responded. I kept it short and simple. I'm recovering. Thanks for asking. My mom called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. She left a long message about how she'd been so busy but was thinking about me constantly. How she hoped I understood. How family is complicated but love is what matters. I deleted it halfway through. My dad texted, we should talk. And that's when I knew I had to face this head on. I couldn't keep avoiding it. So I called them back. Both of them on speakerphone, sitting in their living room like this was just a casual chat. Sweetheart, my mom started, all cheerful. We've been so worried. How's the recovery going? I took a deep breath. You weren't worried enough to be here. Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence. Then my dad cleared his throat. Now, let's not be dramatic. You know we wanted to be there. It was just bad timing. Bad timing. That's what my surgery was to them. Bad timing. I felt my hands start to shake, not from fear this time, but from rage. How did they react when I pushed back? Bad timing? I repeated, my voice cracking. I told you about this surgery 3 weeks in advance. You said you'd be there. You promised. My mom jumped in, defensive now. Well, we didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. You made it sound routine. Routine. Major abdominal surgery. Routine. Major abdominal surgery. Routine. Mom, I told you I'd need help for 2 weeks. I told you I couldn't be alone. What part of that sounded routine? My dad sighed, like I was being difficult. Your brother's girlfriend was really counting on us being at her party. It meant a lot to him. And there it was. The truth right out in the open. My brother's girlfriend's birthday party meant more to them than my surgery. More than my safety. More than me. So let me get this straight, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. A birthday party for someone who isn't even family yet was more important than your daughter having surgery? That's not fair, my mom said. You're twisting things. But I wasn't twisting anything. I was finally seeing things clearly for the first time. Did they apologize? My mom tried a different approach. The guilt trip. We feel terrible, sweetheart. We really do. But you know how your brother gets when we disappoint him. Ah yes. My brother. The golden child who could do no wrong. The golden child who could do no wrong. the one whose feelings always mattered more than mine. And you don't care how I feel when you disappoint me? I asked. Another pause. Then my dad, that's different. You're stronger, you're independent, you can handle things, your brother needs us more. I literally laughed out loud. Not a happy laugh, a bitter, exhausted laugh. I needed you too, I said quietly. I needed my parents and you weren't there. We're sorry you feel that way, my mom said. Sorry I feel that way. Not sorry for what they did. Sorry that I had the audacity to be upset about it. That's when I realized they were never going to actually apologize. They were never going to take responsibility. Because in their minds, they didn't do anything wrong. I was just being too sensitive. Too demanding, too much. I need to go, I said. I'm still recovering. Did I hang up or say more? Before they could respond, I added one more thing. Don't call me again unless you're ready to give me a real apology. Not sorry you feel that way. A real one. Honey, you're being unreasonable, my mom started. Goodbye, I said and hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in years, powerful. I just set a boundary with my parents, an actual real boundary. And it felt terrifying and liberating at the same time. I blocked their numbers for a week. I needed space to heal, both physically and emotionally. My friends rallied around me even more. Sarah brought me meals. Another friend, Mike, came over and helped me meal prep so I'd have easy food. My neighbor, an older woman I barely knew, knocked on my door with homemade soup. I heard you had surgery, she said with a warm smile. Nobody should recover alone. I cried when she left. Because that stranger showed me more kindness than my own parents. That's when I started to realize I was going to be okay without them. How long did the peace last? About a week and a half later, my phone started blowing up with messages. But not from my parents. From everyone else in my family. My aunt, not the nice one who offered to help, my other aunt, who always takes my mom's side. What's going on with you and your parents? They're devastated. Devastated. Interesting choice of words. My cousin texted, "You're really going to hold a grudge over a party? That's pretty childish." My uncle called and left a voicemail about how family is supposed to forgive and how I'm breaking my mother's heart. Even my grandmother got involved, sending me a long text about respecting your elders and honoring thy mother and father. It was like an avalanche of guilt and judgment, all coming at once. And here's the thing, none of these people asked for my side of the story, not one. They all just assumed I was being dramatic or difficult. They assumed my parents were innocent victims of my unreasonable anger. That's when I realized my parents had been talking, spinning the story, making themselves look like the wounded party. What were they telling everyone? I finally called my nice aunt, the one who'd been supportive, and asked her what she'd heard. Oh honey, she sighed. Your mom's been telling everyone that you uninvited them from being at your surgery. That you told them not to come because you wanted to do it alone and now you're blaming them for respecting your wishes. My jaw dropped. They were lying. Straight up lying to the entire family. She also said you've been ignoring them for weeks and won't tell them what they did wrong, my aunt continued. She's playing the victim? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Hard, my aunt confirmed. She's been crying to anyone who'll listen. I felt sick. Not just angry, physically sick. Because this was next-level manipulation. They didn't just abandon me during surgery. Now they were rewriting history to make me look like the villain. Do you want to know what actually happened? I asked my aunt. I know what happened, she said firmly. I remember our conversation before your surgery. But the rest of the family doesn't, and your mom's version is spreading fast. How did I fight back? I spent that entire evening going through my phone. Screenshots, text messages, call logs, every piece of evidence I had. The text where I told them about my surgery date. My mom's response saying, "We'll be there." The follow-up message where I confirmed they'd stay with me for the first week. Their reply, "Of course honey, anything for you." Then the phone call log showing when they called 2 days before to cancel. I even had the voicemail my mom left, though I deleted it in anger. Thankfully, deleted voicemails save for 30 days. I recovered it, listened to it again, heard her say, clear as day, "We can't make it because of your brother's girlfriend's party." I saved everything to a folder on my laptop. Then I sat back and stared at it. Part of me wanted to blast it all over social media, expose them to everyone, show the whole family who was really lying. But another part of me hesitated. Because once you do that, there's no going back. That's nuclear. That's the final bridge burning to ash. Was I ready for that? Did I post the receipts publicly? I didn't post anything publicly. Instead, I sent a private message to each family member who'd contacted me. The same message to everyone. I understand you've heard one version of this story. I'd like to share mine, if you're willing to listen. Then I attached the screenshots. Not with commentary, not with anger, just the facts, the texts, the timeline, the evidence. Some people didn't respond at all. They'd already chosen their side and nothing was going to change that. But others? Others wrote back immediately. Oh my God, I had no idea. Your mom told us something completely different. I'm so sorry. My nice aunt forwarded my message to a few other relatives, saying, before anyone else judges her, read this. The tide started to shift, at least a little bit. But here's what surprised me most. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt sad. Sad that I had to prove to my own family that I wasn't lying. Sad that my parents cared more about their image than the truth. Sad that any of this was even necessary. That's when I realized something important. What did I realize? I realized that even if the whole family believed me, even if everyone took my side, it wouldn't fix anything. Because the core problem wasn't about who believed what. It was about the fact that my parents hurt me deeply and refused to take accountability. All the validation in the world from other people couldn't heal that wound. Only they could, and they weren't willing to. They'd rather lie and manipulate than simply say we were wrong, we're sorry, we should have been there. That's when I made my decision. I was done fighting for their love and approval. I was done waiting for them to choose me. I was done hoping that maybe if I just explained it the right way, they'd finally understand. Some people will never understand because they don't want to. They're too invested in their own version of reality. And I couldn't force them to change. But I could change how I responded. I could choose myself. I could walk away. So that's exactly what I started planning to do. But first, I had to finish healing from the surgery. How is my physical recovery going? By week 3 post-surgery, I was finally starting to feel human again. The pain was manageable with just regular Tylenol. I could shower alone. I could make myself meals. I could walk around my apartment without wanting to cry. My friends still checked in regularly. Sarah came over for dinner one night, and we just talked. Really talked. About everything. I'm proud of you, she said out of nowhere. For what? I asked. For standing up for yourself. For not backing down. I smiled, but it felt bittersweet. I'm not sure I'm strong enough to actually cut them off completely, I admitted. You are, she said firmly. And you know what? You've already proven it. You've been handling this recovery mostly on your own, and you're doing great. You don't need them. Her words hit me hard. Because she was right. I'd spent so much of my life believing I needed my parents' approval, their love, their presence. But I'd survived the hardest few weeks without them. Not just survived, I was actually doing okay. Maybe even better than okay. Because I wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. Did they try to contact me again? 4 weeks after my surgery, my mom texted again. Enough is enough. This silent treatment is childish. We're your parents. You owe us respect. I read that message about 10 times. Each time I got angrier. I owe them respect? After everything? After they abandoned me during surgery, lied to the family about it, and never once gave me a genuine apology? The entitlement was stunning. But this time I didn't react emotionally. I'd had 4 weeks to think, to heal, to gain clarity. So I responded with complete calm. You're right. This has gone on long enough. Here's what I need: a genuine apology for missing my surgery. Acknowledgement that the birthday party was not more important than my health. And a commitment to actually showing up for me moving forward. Until I receive those things, I won't be in contact. I hit send before I could second guess myself. Her response came in less than a minute. Wow. You're really going to make demands? We tried to apologize already. If that's not good enough for you, then maybe you're the problem. How did I respond to that? Maybe you're the problem. Those 5 words did something inside me. They snapped whatever tiny thread of hope I was still holding on to. Because in that moment, I saw the truth with perfect clarity. They would never apologize. They would never change. They would always make me the villain for having feelings, for having needs, for expecting basic human decency from my own parents. I didn't respond to that text. Instead, I opened a new note on my phone and started writing. I wrote everything I'd never said to them, every hurt, every disappointment, every moment I'd swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. I wrote about childhood memories where I felt invisible, about teenage years where my accomplishments were footnotes to my brothers, about my adult life where I kept trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I wrote for 2 hours straight, tears streaming down my face, and when I was done, I didn't send it to them. I saved it for myself. Because they didn't deserve my pain. They hadn't earned the right to know how deeply they'd wounded me. What did I do instead? Instead, I wrote a different letter. A short one. Professional. Distant. Final. Mom and Dad, after a lot of thought, I've decided that I need to step back from our relationship indefinitely. Your absence during my surgery and your response afterward have shown me that we have fundamentally different ideas about what family means. I'm not angry, I'm just done. I wish you both well, but I can't keep participating in a dynamic that hurts me. Please respect my decision and give me space. I'll reach out if and when I'm ready. I read it 20 times before sending it, changed a few words, made sure there was nothing they could twist or use against me. Then I hit send to both of them in one message. And then I blocked their numbers. For real this time. Not temporarily. Not I'll unblock them in a week. Permanently. I also unfollowed them on all social media. Not blocked, I didn't want them to know I'd blocked them and create more drama. Just quietly unfollowed. Out of sight, out of mind. Then I sat on my couch and waited to feel something. Regret, guilt, sadness. What did I actually feel? What I actually felt was relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 30 years and finally exhaled. There was sadness too, don't get me wrong. You can't just cut off your parents and feel nothing. But mostly, I felt free. Free from waiting for them to change. Free from waiting for them to change. Free from making excuses for their behavior. Free from the constant anxiety of wondering when they'd disappoint me next. I called Sarah and told her what I'd done. How do you feel? She asked carefully. Lighter, I said, and I meant it. That night I slept better than I had in months. No nightmares. No waking up anxious. Just deep, peaceful sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I checked my email out of habit. There was nothing from them. I checked my social media messages on my laptop since they couldn't text me anymore. Nothing. For a second, I wondered if they even cared, if they'd fight for me at all. Then I realized, it didn't matter. Whether they cared or not, whether they fought or not, I'd made my choice. And I was sticking to it. How did the rest of the family react? Within a week, I started getting messages from family members again, but this time, the tone was different. Some were angry. How can you abandon your parents like this? You're breaking up the family. Others were concerned. Are you sure you want to do this? This seems extreme. And a precious few were supportive. Good for you. It takes courage to set boundaries. My brother called me from my parents' number. Sneaky. I'd forgotten to block his number. What the hell is your problem? He started immediately. No, hello. No, how are you feeling after surgery? Just anger. You've got mom crying every day. Dad's barely sleeping. All because you're being a selfish brat. I stayed quiet, letting him get it all out. They missed one thing. One. And you're acting like they're the worst parents in the world. Grow up. When he finally stopped, I said very calmly, "Are you done?" "Answer me," he demanded. "No," I said. "Because you don't actually want answers. You want me to fall in line, and I'm not going to." Then I hung up and blocked his number too. Did anyone else get blocked? Over the next few weeks, I blocked about 6 more family members. People who wouldn't stop harassing me. People who sent me nasty messages calling me ungrateful, disrespectful, cruel. Each time I hit block, it got easier. Because I realized something important, I was making space. Because I realized something important, I was making space. Space for the people who actually loved me. Space for the friends who showed up when my parents didn't. Space for the life I wanted to build, not the one I was obligated to maintain. I started going to therapy. My therapist was amazing. She never told me whether I should or shouldn't reconcile with my parents. She just asked questions that helped me understand my own feelings. What would reconciliation look like to you? She asked one session. I thought about it. Them actually acknowledging what they did, them showing up consistently, not just when it's convenient, them treating me like I matter as much as my brother. And do you think that's likely to happen? She asked gently. I sighed. No. Then what are you hoping for by staying in contact? I didn't have an answer. Because I finally realized I wasn't hoping for anything anymore. Did my life actually improve? Here's what nobody tells you about cutting off toxic family members: your life actually gets better. I know that sounds harsh, maybe even unbelievable. But it's true. Without the constant stress of managing my parents' expectations and disappointments, I had so much more energy. Energy for my friends, for my hobbies, for myself. I started painting again, something I'd loved as a kid but stopped doing in my 20s. I joined a book club. I took a weekend trip with Sarah to the beach. Simple things that I'd always pushed aside because I was too busy trying to fix my relationship with my parents. My mental health improved dramatically. I stopped having anxiety attacks. I stopped second-guessing every decision I made. I stopped feeling like I was never good enough. 3 months after cutting them off, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. Not physically, I looked the same. But there was something different in my eyes. Something stronger, more confident. I liked the person I saw. And I realized that for the first time in my life I was actually happy. Not pretending to be happy. Actually genuinely happy. Did they try to reach out again? 4 months after I cut them off, my parents started their campaign to get me back. It started with an email from my mom because I'd blocked everything else. Subject line: please read this. The email was long. Very long. Full of tears and apologies and promises. We miss you so much. We made a mistake. We're sorry. Please come home for Thanksgiving. Please give us another chance. We're your parents. We love you. I read it twice, looking for the actual apology, the specific acknowledgement of what they did wrong. It wasn't there. Just vague "we made a mistake" language. Nothing about the surgery. Nothing about choosing a birthday party over me. Nothing about lying to the family. Just generic "we're sorry you're upset" energy wrapped in more emotional words. I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, another email. This one from my dad. More of the same, but with added guilt trips. Your mother is heartbroken. Thanksgiving won't be the same without you. Don't you care about this family? Then cards started arriving in the mail. Handwritten notes. Photos of us from when I was a kid. Remember when we were happy? Did the guilt work? The guilt didn't work. Because here's what I'd learned in therapy: guilt is only useful when you've actually done something wrong. I hadn't. I'd set a boundary to protect myself. That's not wrong. That's healthy. But they kept trying. They showed up at my apartment once. I didn't answer the door. I watched through the peephole as they knocked and called my name. My mom was crying. My dad looked frustrated. They left a bag of groceries outside my door with a note: "We'll always love you." I left the bag there for 3 hours before finally bringing it inside. Not because I wanted their groceries, but because I didn't want to waste food. I donated it all to a food bank the next day. They tried using other family members as messengers. My cousin texted, "Your mom asked me to tell you she loves you." I didn't respond. My aunt called, "Don't you think you've punished them enough?" I hung up. Because this wasn't about punishment. This was about protection. Protection from people who hurt me and refused to take real responsibility for it. And I wasn't backing down. Did they finally give a real apology? 6 months in, my mom sent another email. This one had "I'm sorry" in the subject line. My heart actually jumped a little. Maybe this was it. Maybe they'd finally understood. I opened it. "I'm sorry that my actions during your surgery hurt you. I didn't realize how much you were counting on us. We thought you'd be fine on your own since you're so strong and independent. But I can see now that you needed us and we should have been there. Please forgive us." I read it 3 times. And you know what I noticed? It was still all about their perspective. "We thought you'd be fine. We didn't realize." Not once did she say, "We were wrong to choose a birthday party over your surgery." Not once did she acknowledge the lying to family. Not once did she take full responsibility without adding a but or an excuse. It was what my therapist called a sorry you felt that way apology. A non-apology designed to make them feel better, not to actually make amends. I was so tired. Tired of hoping they'd change. Tired of analyzing their words for hidden meaning. Just tired. How did I respond this time? I wrote back one last time. Mom and Dad, I appreciate that you're trying. But until you can acknowledge specifically what you did wrong, not what you didn't realize or thought, without making excuses or justifications, we can't move forward. I needed you during my surgery, you chose a party, then you lied to the family about what happened. Those are the facts. If you can own those facts and genuinely apologize for them, I'm willing to talk. But I'm not interested in more half apologies and guilt trips. The choice is yours. I hit send and immediately felt the weight of finality. This was it. The ball was in their court, and I was done chasing. If they could give me what I needed, real accountability, I'd consider rebuilding. If they couldn't, I'd made peace with walking away forever. 2 days later, my mom responded. One sentence. We don't know what else you want from us. We've tried everything. And there it was. They still didn't get it. After everything, after 6 months, after countless emails and messages, they still saw themselves as the victims. They'd tried everything except the one thing I actually needed. What was my final decision? I deleted that email. Then I blocked their email addresses too. Every single avenue of communication, blocked. Because I finally understood that some people will never give you what you need. Not because they can't, but because they don't think they should have to. My parents believed that being parents was enough. That the title itself meant I owed them forgiveness, regardless of their actions. But I'd learned something crucial: biology doesn't equal family. Love isn't about titles or blood, it's about showing up. It's about accountability. It's about choosing someone again and again even when it's hard. My parents never chose me. Not during my surgery. Not in the months after. Not in the months after. Not even when faced with losing me completely. So I chose myself. I chose peace over people-pleasing. I chose boundaries over guilt. I chose the family I'd built, my friends, my chosen family, over the family I was born into. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt whole. Not broken. Not damaged. Whole. That night, I celebrated by cooking myself a nice dinner. Sarah came over. We laughed. We talked about the future. We didn't mention my parents once. Did I ever regret my decision? It's been over a year now since I cut them off. People still ask me if I regret it, if I miss them, if I'll ever reconcile. Here's my honest answer: no, I don't regret it. Do I miss having parents? Yes. But I don't miss those parents. Yes. But I don't miss those parents. I don't miss the anxiety. I don't miss feeling like I'm never enough. I don't miss waiting for them to disappoint me. As for reconciliation? I'm not close to it. But it would require them to fundamentally change, to recognize what they did, to do the work, and I'm not holding my breath. Because I've built a beautiful life without them. A life full of people who actually show up, who celebrate my wins, who hold me when I cry, who would never ever choose a birthday party over my surgery. That's what real family looks like. So if you're reading this and you're struggling with toxic family members, if you feel guilty for wanting to set boundaries, if people are telling you about their family, listen to me. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to demand better. And you don't owe anyone an explanation. Not even your parents. Choose peace. Choose yourself. You deserve it. And trust me, you'll never regret choosing your own healing over someone else's comfort. Never. Thanks for watching. If this emotional family struggle about parents refusing help during my surgery survival story resonated with you, please hit that like button. This family drama story proves that personal sacrifice shouldn't mean losing yourself. Whether you're dealing with family conflict, considering cutting off parents, facing your own emotional surgery story, or struggling with forgiveness and family issues, remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. If you've experienced parents not being supportive, drop a comment. You're not alone. Subscribe for more real-life stories about boundaries, healing, and finding your chosen family. Thanks for listening to my journey.